back, and we're live and in the studio and in person.
It's been a moment.
It's been a while, Chris, and it feels so good.
It feels great, and I also enjoyed the amount of people that were like, "What is going on? When are you guys coming back?
I know.
I need my fix. I need that. Inject it right into my veins.
Give me that Snarf talk.
Give me that audio fix."
And it, to be honest, I felt the same way. I needed that Snarf talk fix.
Yeah.
Chris and I are in the same boat. We need that fix. We need that Snarf talk in our life.
Yeah.
This is what we do. This is like literally a weekly thing that we do, and we haven't been able to do it in a long time. And we apologize, but I'll be upfront.
And before we get to that, we're back.
Yeah.
Weekly schedule going forward. So don't, we're the consistency is back.
It is. Weekly, usually every Thursday.
The day might change, but
Normally we're every Thursday. Sometimes it happens Friday. Sometimes it happens Saturday, whatever.
the podcast always gets released on Monday.
Monday morning, our audio recording is always released, and that is what's going to happen regularly from now on. Our video recording will be sometime between Thursday and Saturday, like we've always done. We've been off for like, what was it? 4 weeks?
4 weeks? About 4 weeks, yeah.
So elephant in the room, just like happened last year with Chris, has happened with me. And my mother passed away this last 3 weeks. It was very sudden. It wasn't something that we expected. She had an issue before 4th of July that we found out with cancer. And she had some serious surgeries coming up that we thought she was going to make it through. But she didn't. So we had to deal with that. And it was something that was nothing that we ever expected. We didn't assume that the worst was going to happen. We were always very bright and positive about the situation because it wasn't anything that the doctors told us we should fear. But it was something her body couldn't handle during the surgeries, and she ended up passing away. So my family dealt with that, and it took a while to get through because it was sudden. It was very, very sudden. It wasn't anything that...
Right. It's just the world getting turned on its head.
Yeah.
Immediately, like right now.
That's exactly what happened. It was literally on its head. July 2nd, we found out that my mom had cancer in her kidney and a tumor that went up to her heart. But it wasn't anything that we dealt with in her life. She didn't have any symptoms. She had no problems whatsoever. And then she had to have a series of surgeries, like a big open heart surgery that she ended up making it through, but the segment of medical processes from there on out, she didn't make it through. So we had to deal with that, and that's why we were gone for so long. So now that that's done and taken care of, which is sad, and we were all very sad about it, but life has to continue, and Snarf Talk will always continue because this is part of Chris and I's life, and this is what we do. And my mom would never want it to stop, just as Chris's dad would never want it to stop during the situation that he dealt with last summer. So we are going to continue Snarf Talk, and that's what we do.
Yes. Yeah, and I think it's a much needed break because as much as we enjoy doing it, and we do, and love it and missed it, it is also a work. It's work. It's
right.
A burden, not a burden in the sense of, it's something that you have to think about in the back of your mind, and it's just not a time when you can afford to think about other things.
And we have to plan it, right? Yeah. So you plan out when you do these type of things, and Snarf Talk, it is somewhat of a pastime for our lives and your life. It is also something that we have to plan out in our lives, but our lives don't stop. And real life always continues. So we have to deal with those first. And I apologize. Like, we've always wanted to continue Snarf Talk every single week of our lives. And we've done it very, very successfully for the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, but we've had breaks before, so it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Everybody will get back to
It isn't. And
the grind.
This is the longest break we've had. And it's something we never expected to happen, obviously, because like I said, this is something that we never expected to happen in my entire life. So it did. We're through it now. And now we continue Snarf Talk like normal. So this is a new week. This is episode 135, 135 episodes of Snarf Talk.
I know, it's crazy.
And we're back in it. I don't even know where we. I don't even know where we
it's
start.
hard. It is hard. It's difficult when you face something like that. Not the situation, but I mean, just face the long absence, because it's not like you forget how to do it, but get in a role. You know, you get in a groove.
Every week we were talking about something, and now since we've missed so many weeks, it's like entertainment news never stops.
Right.
And there are so many things that are thrown out in front of us that now we need to talk about.
Or we won't get to, but
and everybody says, like, you guys talk for 2 hours, man. You can cover a lot of talk.
Not
I'm Tommy
really.
Chong. Hey, man, I'm Tommy Chong. You talk about so many things.
that's pretty good, actually.
I thought it was.
I think we should reach out to Tommy, see if we can get him on the air.
He thinks, hey, man, Tommy Chong reincarnated, but he's still alive, so I guess that's not
think he's
right.
alive, yeah.
He's still alive, so I'm wrong. But I'd talk like this if he was on our show.
If you guys are watching live, I know there's a little bit of a delay. Will you just make a comment or something? Because I just want to make sure everything's working. Again, like I said, we haven't done this in a while. I see Nolan had a couple, but I just want to make sure everything's working.
Yes.
we had new equipment right before the break, and then we have more new equipment now. I got a new iPad.
He did comment, and he said, woohoo, it's fate. I'm wearing your merch.
It was right at the beginning. I just want to make sure nothing happened. But
right.
just throw out a comment. Let us know you're listening. And also, hey,
Holla
if you
at your
are
boy.
listening, holla at your boy. If you are listening, we're like baby infants now. We're like little tiny baby infants.
I'm your little baby infant. Hi, I'm little baby Jerry Snyder. Please cuddle me in your arms.
Yeah. Give us content recommendations.
Can I suckle on your titty?
Give us ideas, please.
Please, let me suckle on your breast.
Feed us ideas out of your bosom.
I want to feed off your bosoms.
No, but we could use some suggestions. Getting back in the groove here. Jay is here. Oh, he said, "What are you drinking?" Jerry is drinking a Busch Latte.
Yeah, Busch Light.
Lisa's here. Courtney's here. Lisa's here.
Gerald
again.
is an animal, of course.
Erica's here. Hey, I did FaceTime the other night with Erica and Erica's mom and Nicole from
Really?
Top Golf Wednesday night. We were.
Was this a medical thing? Because I feel like if
Actually.
if Erica's mom's involved, it's
So I went to Erica's mom. She's a physician or PA doctor. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah.
I went to her. I was having, I just got a routine blood work, physical.
Okay.
And her prescription for me was
off
party
wrong.
time.
Oh boy.
It was to party. So we immediately left. I got Marley and some other people's, and we went up to Top Golf and we partied. That was her prescription.
Well, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
Can I get that prescription?
You just gotta go to Mazan Medical Office.
I do. She prescribes me my things.
My prescription, based on my blood work,
More cowbell.
was more cowbell and more partying.
Wow.
So that's what we did. No, we all attended a work function.
She's involved right now. She just commented, "Yep." No. She said,
I probably shouldn't say that. That's probably like a bad.
"Yep, no."
No, but
More partying.
It was
okay.
It was a work function that we were attending.
Top Golf. How'd you do?
Really well.
Really?
So we had the Bunker Crop Classic, which we haven't been on the air since then, right?
No, we haven't. I didn't get to participate, but I was at a golf outing today,
Yeah.
actually, and it was phenomenal. Gosh, I haven't golfed in a long time, and it was so good.
It was worth the wait to hear Jerry say in a Mary Poppins voice, "Suckle on your titty."
Suck, please, sir.
Please,
can
sir.
Can I suckle on your breastises?
May I have some more?
May I have some more of your milk?
What were we talking about? Bunker Crowd Classic. Yeah. So I started there. Okay. I haven't picked up a golf club in 2 years.
Disgusting.
I was on fire.
Doubt it.
Literally the best I've ever golfed. And I'm like, this must be some kind of a fluke.
It
right?
is. Yep, you're right. It
Clearly.
is. Clearly.
So we go to Top Golf and just every ball,
Murdered.
back fence, straight as an arrow.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Now prove it.
I rocked. I won.
I mean, it's not hard to win at Top Golf.
Well,
Did you win at Real Golf?
No, our team did not win because it was a scramble, right? I did my best to prop them up, but I'm only one man, Jerry.
I mean, one man usually props up the whole team. Like today, Keith, I tell you what.
He's a golfer.
Toilet bowl winner, Keith, right? Like he cannot win at Snarf Madness.
No, and he
not possible.
He's so competitive that he wouldn't even compete this year.
Right. And
couldn't
then,
handle it.
Then we get out in the golf course today. I was like, who is this man? I said, you can't possibly be the same man that I saw just destroy our Snarf Madness competition in the way of horribleness.
Yeah.
You know, like being an awful human being. And he looked at me in the eyes and he said, listen, hey, he's like, look at me. Look at this. He said, I'm a new man. I've learned from my terribleness. I'm gonna be something new. I was like, you're gonna be something new? He said, listen, I want to be a new man and I want to represent Mazan because I'm Mr. Mazan.
Yeah.
Because he has license plates that say Mazan on them.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you're gonna be Mr. Mazan, you gotta hold me up on your big broad shoulders.
And did he?
And he did.
Did you win?
I have no idea. It was a scramble, so I don't know if we won or not. But I tell you what, I tell you what, Chris, the bombs that he was hitting off that driver,
Dropping bombs.
something I've never seen before.
Yeah.
And-
Lisa
and-
said Keith couldn't take the terrible, terrible comments from you guys after Snarf Madness.
He couldn't hold up to it, but when he looked at me in the eyes and he grabbed my big strong shoulders,
Yeah.
because I have them, he grabbed me, and I felt it. I felt it from his soul, where he really did regret the I don't know, like the terribleness that he pursued, like he put on everyone. Like everyone in our community, in the Snarf Talk community, he just poured out this terribleness, you know,
Yeah.
that we all felt because of, you know, he's just so bad at the competition. And today I really feel like he regained a little bit.
He redeemed himself?
Yeah. It just was amazing. Like I could feel it out of his being. He like poured it into me. And then he was just dropping bombs on the golf course. And he's like, he kept pointing to the sky saying, this is for Snarf Talk.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
this means something. And then he'd look at me straight in the eyes that a real man would do. Not somebody that would be a toilet bowl
Champion. Yeah.
champion. Like nobody would ever look me, Snarf Talk, you know, like the SN of Snarf. You wouldn't look me in the eyes if you were that bad, you know, of a person, which he is. But he's not anymore.
No, we're totally
He's
redeemed.
really redeemed himself, and I appreciate everything he's done
There you go.
today on the golf course. So honestly, I'd take that that toilet bowl back from him.
Oh, wow.
I would. I
It's
mean,
got his name on it, though. So.
yeah, no, he'll keep it just as a remembrance of how bad he
metaphorically take it
once
back.
was, like as he once was.
Right.
But I told him, I was like, hey man, you done something today. You and me, we done something. So he's a guy that I know.
Great. Well, that sounds like a lot of
So
fun.
that's a thing that happened today. We played golf. It was fun.
Yeah.
I met Mike and Jim.
Oh, I bet they're awesome.
Yeah, they're guys.
Those are great names.
They're good guys. They're good guys.
Yeah. Anything else before we dive into some news?
Yeah, real quick. No, I don't have anything. I made
Really?
that up. Yeah, I made that up.
Okay. Well, do you got any news for us?
Oh, yeah, Lisa, I don't want the toilet bowl trophy back. He can keep the toilet bowl trophy, believe me, because he earned it. He earned it. But today he did a good work. Yes, I do have some news. You're not a big fan of this TV show,
Oh, really?
Dexter.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, I liked the first several seasons. I just feel like, how many seasons were there? Maybe 5?
I think there was 5. Yes,
It just really fell off in like the last couple seasons
I would agree.
to the point where it was like almost unwatchable.
To be honest, like the last season wasn't the best,
Right.
but then again, neither was Game of Thrones. You know.
Yeah, no, but it went for a lot longer and it had more highs. But yeah, I agree. So I liked the beginning and I liked the premise. I really liked the season that had John Lithgow in it.
Oh my gosh,
That was great.
that was so good. He is an amazing actor.
Yeah, he's great.
I want him to be like another dad of mine.
Really?
Just feel like he would hug really well.
It's just all based off like Third Rock from the Sun?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Just because he was really fun and goofy?
Have you ever felt like you wanted a really good hug from a guy?
I can't say that I've thought about that directly. No.
No?
No, I've
Really?
never. I don't think I've ever had. I'm not saying I'm not opposed to hugging. I'm a hugger.
I'm a hugger, big
I like
time.
to hug, especially if I've had a few cocktails. However, I've
Listen.
never thought I've never sat there and thought
Okay.
like, man, I could really use a hug from a guy specifically.
I get it. I understand that. But do you ever just, it's weird. It's weird to feel this way. Okay. But do you ever feel like a child?
I never
Like, do
feel
you
like a child. I do. Sometimes I will feel in my early 20s. That's the lowest I go.
Really?
Yeah.
Like you never feel like you want to be a little baby child?
No, I
And just like just get rid of like
you know,
adultness?
One time, if I ever had the occasion to take a bath,
That's so dirty.
like a warm bath,
Oh god.
that reverts
So
you to
dis-
childhood a little bit, right?
It does. But do you feel like you ever want to be a baby child
Like
where
be
you
cradled.
and be cradled and have no,
No.
absolutely no, like,
I want to know what you're driving this point towards.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Hang on. I'm telling you. Hang on.
Okay.
Like the situation where you just want absolutely no responsibility ever in your life, and you want nobody to look at you, and you just want to be looked at as a child and hugged.
I mean, I don't want anybody to look at me most of the time, except unless it's in a podcast format.
I guess. It's,
Don't look at me!
please, I'm hideous.
I'm hideous!
I want you to look at me. I want people to look at me, and I want them to look at me as a little baby child. And I want them to hug me.
That's why they call you Baby Jerry.
Right. That's why I'm called Baby Jerry. No, I guess it's kind of sad because I just don't want I don't necessarily want like the adultness of what has come over the last week. And I just want people to hug me
You want affection, and
Yeah.
I think that's
and to hide. Like I want to hide from adultness for a little while.
I feel like this is a very normal reaction to the situation you've been through.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And I also feel like John Lithgow as the dad this is not saying any part of my father figure in my life is less than. I'm saying John Lithgow as the father figure in Third Rock from the Sun could cradle me in my arms.
He wasn't he wasn't like
But he's
fatherly.
a big,
in
no,
that
but he's
show.
a big dude.
Yeah, he is a big dude.
I feel like he could cradle me.
Yeah, he could definitely cradle you physically.
I feel like a lot of people could cradle me in their arms pretty physically.
yeah, for sure.
I'm not very big. If you don't know, I'm about 5'5" on a good day, maybe 5'6" with boots on. Like, and I wear boots a lot, so I'm 5'6". But I also weigh a lot because I keep gaining weight. I can't control that. That's a problem.
See, I've been losing weight because I'm back on the keto. 2 weeks strong.
Well, I'm jealous of you.
I'm down 10 pounds.
I need to be down.
Oh, David said, Jerry, I'm going to hug you with raw beef, fresh herbs, seasoned vegetables, and brown liquor. Now that
Wow,
I'm gonna
that
tell
sounds
you-
like a phenomenal
I'm going to tell you,
thing.
I know, and I know we have a lot to get to here, but I have not been looking forward to anything
More in
more
your
than
life.
that for so long, too.
I know.
Like I've been looking forward to it for months, and to the point where, I'll briefly bring this up. I got the COVID shot.
Well, hang on. Prior to this, you can continue after I give this little bit of synopsis. Mr. Seedentop, longtime listener, no time caller, is a friend of mine for a long time. But we had a bet last year. You can hear
No,
it.
2019.
You're right.
It was, in 2000, it was 2 years ago.
No, it was the 2020 schedule.
No, because were shut down for half of it for COVID, right?
No,
it was the 2019 schedule.
No, it was the 2020 schedule. They only had like 90 games.
Okay.
So either way,
Fair enough.
It was last year's baseball schedule. I had an open bet on the podcast with Mr. Seedentop about who would have a better record between the Chicago Cubs and the Chicago White Sox. And I said the White Sox, because I am a Chicago White Sox fan, would have a better record than the Chicago Cubs. They ended up having a better record. The White Sox did by like 2 games, I think, like 1 or 2 games. Very minimal margin. Either way, I won. And now Mr. Seedentop has to cook Chris and I, along with our families,
lay out the terms of the bet,
meal.
right? So it was if David won, he was going to be a Snarf king for a year.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal because you get pretty big Snarf bundles. Like you
It's
get monthly bundles.
The highest anointment.
Yeah. And all kinds of stuff.
$100 a month.
So originally, and then it was because the bet was between you two initially. And if you won, he had to cook that meal. So initially it was like, well, the bet's with Jerry. I'm cooking the meal for Jerry. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. But it's not really fair because A, I'm a Cubs fan. And B, if you lose, I have to pay money out of my pocket to make him a Snarf
To
king.
me.
Well, whatever. So he graciously extended even though I'm also a Cubs fan.
You are, and the Cubs suck.
But I don't pay any attention. But
They also offloaded their entire...
It's on my news thing. I don't think they're going to be able to field a team.
No, they really won't. But either way, last year they lost. The White Sox had a better record.
They lost like all of their best players in the last 2 days.
Today, basically.
Yeah.
They lost basically all of their...
Rizzo, Baez,
Bryant.
Bryant. Yeah.
Craig Kimbrell came to the White Sox.
Trevor Williams.
Either way, he's got to cook us a meal, a 3-course meal for my family, like me and my wife, Chris and his wife, on this Saturday.
Yeah. So anyway, what I was saying is I've been looking forward to this for so long. Well, anyway, I went and got a COVID shot, and now I'm feeling like hammered dog shit.
Yeah, that's awful.
And I'm worried that I'm not going to be in my full ability to enjoy this tomorrow. But I'm hoping.
To be honest, that's 100% why I didn't get the vaccine.
You did get the vaccine, did you?
Yeah, but I didn't get it recently.
Right.
So that I could enjoy it.
Yeah, okay. You planned way ahead.
Way ahead. I was well planned.
Yeah. And to be fair, that's the reason I've put it off so long because it's just my busy season kind of just ended. And I'm like, okay.
So you decided like, well, you know what? I'll ruin a good dinner.
Well, I was at Jewel. They give you 10% off your groceries.
And you're like, I could get this sushi and a vaccine at the same time.
Check it out. They're like, your total is $250, but you can get 10% off. And the cashier, literally.
And a California roll for free.
They're like, you can have $25 off. And the cashier, pop the drawer open like you're paying with cash, pull the needle out.
It gave you the vaccine.
And just shot it in my arm and gave me $25 off.
Incredible.
It's amazing.
We are so efficient as a human being, aren't we?
We can't receive text right now, David, but
He's going to text us both the menu, but it's multiple courses, not just 3.
if you do us a favor, private
fine.
Facebook message to us, that'd be a better way to get it to us.
Either way, we have a big menu coming to us that is provided by Mr. Seedentop tomorrow. And I forgot about it, to be honest, until today, where Amy told me, she said, hey, our niece is coming over to babysit the kids for tomorrow. And I was like, why? She's like, because we're going over for the dinner.
I hope that doesn't mean you have a call time.
And I was
you
like,
got to be home early.
Oh, I said, we have a dinner tomorrow. And I got so excited
I'm super excited.
because he's cooking us food.
And I'm going off keto, so I'm double excited.
Oh, I'm so
And then
excited
Monday
for you.
is me and Marley's anniversary. And we're going out to eat.
Oh
So
my gosh.
I get like 2 good meals.
Your anniversary, my anniversary was the 18th. I've been married 12 years.
That'll be
So-
7.
Thank you.
The copper anniversary.
Is that it?
Yeah. So we were
Sounds
talking about
kinda cheap.
Dexter, and Nolan liked to chime in. Dexter has 8 seasons. Last 3 were shit. Agreed. John Lithgow was season 4. So anyway,
Yeah.
what was your news quickly on
Okay.
Dexter?
Let me bring it back up because I was looking at the other things. Yeah, Dexter is coming back. And we've talked about it before that Dexter was coming back. It was kind of a hit and miss kind of thing if it was for real coming back, but it is for sure. And they have released the date on when it's coming back and the name of it. And it's called Dexter New Blood, coming out November 7th. And I tell you what, I'm excited for this.
Is the sister out of it because she was the most annoying person? In the
I don't
world?
know.
Secondly, is they in Miami? Because Miami was like a character in that show, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming it is. To be honest, I know nothing about it. I have not looked into it. And this is what I do with shows that I want to watch. Shows that I care about and want to watch. I don't look into it because I don't want to be spoiled before I ever watch it. I don't want to be let down. I don't want to have an opinion
Right.
or get too much of an opinion before I ever watch it. And the reason I'm doing this with Dexter is because Amy and I bought a house together in 2008, a long time ago. And when we first moved into the house, we had no furniture, like we had nothing really to our name. And we lived, it was a story and a half house, but it had an upstairs. And I had this fold out couch that I got from my grandma that we slept on and basically lived on, with a TV that I had from my parents' home that I had bought. So we had this TV set up on a TV stand that I had from my parents' house again, with this fold out couch. So we literally slept on a fold out couch, and we would watch either Seinfeld. And this is where Amy hated Seinfeld, but I had every season of it on DVD. So we would watch that, and she gained an appreciation for Seinfeld from that. And I also had Dexter that I rented from Netflix when Netflix was
The discs, yeah.
sending out
That's
discs.
also how I watched Dexter via Netflix because I never had Showtime or anything.
Right. We didn't have any TV at this time, so we were renting things from Netflix through the mail. And Netflix was, a lot of you may not know, I don't know, like most of you that listen to the podcast probably know what Netflix did at this time, but Netflix originally started as a rental service of DVDs through the mail.
I think everybody's aware of what Netflix is.
No, some people don't, because I work with people that have no idea. And we would get DVDs through the mail, and it was Dexter. And we watched every season of Dexter through the mail on Netflix, and we watched season 1 through 8 that way. And we were on a fold out couch, and it was like, now it's like a sentimental thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there was a big moment in our life that this is what we did, and we watched every season. We binged it, and then even when the new seasons were coming out, we were still in that portion of our life where we didn't have anything, and we would watch Dexter. So when we got regular TV and the last season came out, we watched it on like our own TV when we had Showtime, and it was a big deal that we recorded it on like DirecTV,
Right.
whatever. And we did that thing. So, and then it ended. It was gone. And now it's coming back. And I just really want to watch it because I was so, it's so ingrained in my brain about like listening and watching Dexter. It wasn't that it was like a groundbreaking show.
I would say it was pretty groundbreaking. I just didn't care for it that much at the end.
We loved it, and the ending wasn't the greatest, but it's something that I want to watch again.
I don't know that it'll be on top of my list. I'll probably get to it, but
I'm going to watch it again, and I will give you a review, and I'm going to spoil the shit out of it so that you don't ever have to watch it
that's perfect.
because you're a dick.
Speaking of Dexter, in no way, I got the menu for tomorrow's night's dinner. Do you want to
do?
hear it? Yeah, you want to hear it?
Yeah. The dinner that David Seedentup's going to give us?
Snarf dinner. This isn't like the real
Oh, this is
swirly
a docs.
whirl. This is an actual menu. This is gonna be printed out.
Wow.
Wow, wee, wah.
Wow.
This is in like a flowery font. Local lamb and local libations. Lamb meatball with yogurt sauce. Recommended to enjoy with local beer. Mm-hmm. We better find out if we're supposed to bring our own libations.
Wait, do I have to bring my own beer?
Pooh's Poland pork salad, charred local pork.
Wait. Do you know Pooh?
I do. I know Pooh.
Pooh is a family favorite.
friend.
Yeah.
Charred local pork, tamarind, palm sugar, fish sauce, pineapple, green apple, red onion, mint, and peanuts. Recommended to pair with Pooh's favorite Scotch bourbon whiskey or white wine. A carpaccio tacos.
I love carpaccio.
Beef, capers, greens, aioli, wonton. Recommended to pair with white wine.
Wow.
I can't read that because of the font, but I think it says
Bibabua.
bougie barnyard buffet.
Ooh, bougie. Love everything that's bougie.
Lamb chops and garbanzo bean relish, beef and corn relish, pork and watermelon relish. Recommended to pair with red wine. I'm a red wine fan.
Are you?
I'm not a white wine fan, but I'll take the recommended pairings. Don't get me wrong. I'm not.
I love white wine. I don't like a hard red wine, like a dry
I like
red
them
wine.
as dry as you can get them.
Oof. No, I'm not a big fan.
And then it is, man, I can't read that. BLT tostada, aioli, greens, pickled green tomatoes, pork. Recommended to pair with pickled green tomato martini.
Ooh, love a good
I could
martini.
get behind that.
Is it
And
dirty?
then there's a boozy milkshake flight. It looks like for dessert. I'm telling you, David, you're going all out. It's pretty impressive.
He doesn't not go all out. He gave us tacos, and it was all out.
That was incredible.
I mean,
I came over there, and it's like the whole freaking island. Island in your kitchen was huge. It was like the whole thing. It was all the different.
I have an
pieces
island,
and
8x4. It's like a 4x8 sheet of plywood, basically. It's my island, and
half of it solid was covered.
Yeah, it was covered with what David brought over for dinner, and it was a taco.
It was
bar,
the carnitas,
basically.
right?
Yeah, unbelievable.
He says the menu is subject to change literally until it's set in front of you. I've never cooked veal, which is the base of a demi-glaze.
Demi-glace.
I used lots of homemade stock in my cooking, specifically sauces. So I'm excited.
Yes.
Marley's listening. Well, this is going to be amazing. I can't wait. Yeah, it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited.
It really
about
is going to be good. I'm
I
very
feel
excited
like
about it.
we need to I almost feel like we have to compensate somehow because that probably is so expensive.
No,
he
lost a bet.
You're right. And it would have cost us a lot to do the Snarf King thing because that was like $50 a month. Is the Snarf King
$100
$100 a month.
It's $100 a month. Either way, he wins. He loves doing this.
Yeah. No, I'm sure.
And that was the bet. It is what it is. It's going to be one time. It's not like we expect it all the time. And we do very greatly appreciate it. It will be fun for friends to get together and have this meal. Thank you, David.
Yes. And Nolan might as well be. David is a gourmet chef. So.
He really is. I don't understand how he does it because he's dumb as a brick. I mean, just absolutely, just a moron.
All right, let's. We got more stuff to cover here.
Yeah. Let me get to it.
I got some more things. Suicide Squad, James Gunn's Suicide Squad comes out next week. You heard of it?
Yeah, I didn't realize it was next week
It's
already.
getting extremely good reviews.
99%
with
on
some people going as far as saying it's his best movie to date.
Are you serious?
And you got to remember, he made Guardians 1 and 2.
Oh, that makes me skeptical. I don't believe that.
I'm a little worried, but it does look good. In the previews, it looks great.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. We don't have to.
But do you really? I mean, so from the previews you've seen and the characters that you've seen, do you feel like it can live up to a Guardians movie?
I don't see how it possibly can, just because of the cosmic nature of it, the movie, and the stakes that are put forth in it. But I haven't seen it, so I can't say that.
I know.
It looks like it's fun, right? It looks like a really fun Deadpool-ish type movie, and that on my spectrum could never live up to a Guardians because I need the emotional.
I agree, and that's kind of where I live at right now is seeing the character or like seeing the trailers and what the characters are. I don't see them as being as lovable or something that can be as close to me as what the Guardians characters are, which seems silly.
Well,
When I say that, it is absolutely silly because you're talking about a raccoon.
well, right,
And you're
but that's-
talking about
I mean,
Drax.
I think we suspended that disbelief 135 episodes ago.
No, but I still have it. I still have it in my heart that I love those characters because I already know what they are. But then when I see the new ones, when it comes to a shark and I don't know, John Cena's character, whatever he is with the helmet on,
Peacemaker.
I can't remember.
Polka Dot Man.
There's so many characters in there that seem
They look
so
goofy.
silly
They
to
look
me
goofy.
and goofy.
And fun. I mean, I'm 100% sure that the movie's going to be fun, entertaining, action-packed,
Hilarious.
hilarious.
I mean,
but I don't know if I could. I just don't know. We'll have to see it.
I know.
And
and
it's coming out on HBO Max, which we have, so we don't have to pay to see
I
it.
suspend the whole belief of it being absolutely amazing and perfect because I think they're silly. But then again, I look back on myself and say, like, well, I'm also silly for loving a raccoon.
Yeah. So, and we
So
also have a problem where if we have high expectations going into a movie, we're usually let down. If we have low expectations, we're usually blown away.
And the problem is that I do have high expectations because I know James Gunn.
I don't.
And what he's done.
I honestly don't. And the reason is because the last one was such a shit show. And I understand it's completely different.
What is? Oh,
The last Suicide Squad movie.
I don't put anything.
I don't
on
have
James
high
Gunn, though.
expectations going into any DC movie ever.
It's James Gunn, though.
I know, but
and you know what he's done.
I understand that, but that doesn't change the fact that I don't necessarily have high expectations.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is like far and beyond my favorite Marvel movie, and that man did both of them. Like the two best movies that Marvel ever did.
Yeah.
And we've argued about it.
No,
And
but
then you came back and you're like,
around. I agreed with you that number 2 I think is better.
oh my gosh, that's so heartfelt and amazing. And he's done a wonderful job. And now he's got a whole new world ahead of him that he's doing for DC. And I just hope and pray and whatever I need to do. I really hope that critics are correct. I don't want to be on the same side as critics because they're normally terrible and awful.
Yeah.
But I hope they're right, and it is perfect and funny and hilarious, and everybody loves it. And I want DC to be good in the movies. They do great work.
You know
when
what my
it comes
hope is?
to when it comes to like cartoons and the animated universe. Like they've done great things. The live action movies, we all know that's terrible.
My only worry is big changes have happened in James Gunn's life since his last movie, Guardians 2. I believe. I don't think he's made anything else in the interim.
No, yeah.
He was canceled.
Yep. He
and
was
brought back. So I hope this isn't just an ultimate woke fest.
I don't think it will be because he's coming back with Guardians 3. He's doing
right. He was a little bit redeemed.
He's coming back with it. He can't afford to do a woke fest with Suicide Squad and expect to be received. And
Well, he could because it could be like his apology.
no, I don't think he can. I don't think he can.
Okay, well, let's move on because we got a lot to cover. Big news in the Marvel universe happening.
What do you got?
Big news.
What? What could be so big, Chris?
Scarlett Johansson is what's so big.
What about her?
She's suing Disney. Oof. Did you not hear this news?
I didn't know this. No,
this happened a couple days ago. She filed a lawsuit against Disney. And basically, I'll summarize it saying, listen, hey, I agreed to make this movie, and my contract stipulated that this movie needed to be released in theaters. And a significant portion of her contract was based on back-end theater revenue. And when
that's not happening.
when Disney made the choice to release it to Disney Plus, now granted they made $80 million in direct sales on Disney Plus. She didn't touch that. They only made a couple $100 million in the box office, as opposed to what would have easily been $1 billion movie.
I mean,
or at least 800,000.
Yeah,
movie.
at least 800,000. Yeah.
Well, okay. To be fair, probably $500,000 or $600,000 movie.
Yeah, $500 million movie.
So she's saying, hey, I was wronged by X amount of dollars. Now, there's certainly been talks going on for 2 years now to resolve this. They obviously did not work. And Scarlett Johansson says, enough is enough. We're taking it to court. Disney released a scathing response to the lawsuit. I don't have it in front of me, but I'll summarize. Basically saying, how dare you, biatch?
How dare you?
COVID is killing everybody.
Scarlet and the pandemic?
How dare you doing a pandemic? How dare you talk about money?
My family has suffered so much because of the pandemic, Scarlet.
You know who hasn't suffered? Disney Plus or Disney in general, they've made a fortune off the pandemic.
Right, they have.
And now they've changed the game of movies altogether to
How dare you, Scarlett?
to favor them, right? Direct sales are way more profitable for
My
them.
gosh. They have no marketing cost whatsoever.
No marketing costs. They don't have to share with theaters. They
No,
don't have
they
to
don't
share
pay
with
the
actors. Now,
They pay nothing to theaters.
going
Nothing.
forward, the deals will be restructured with actors. But you got to remember, that movie was made pre-COVID.
But listen to me, Scarlett. I'm Disney and I want your money.
So today, Scarlett released her response, or her lawyers, I should say.
Sure.
I can kind of summarize this again. It all began Thursday. She filed the lawsuit accusing Disney of breaching her contract, which guaranteed an exclusive theatrical release. Written in her contract, exclusive theatrical release. Seems like game over there. Disney then replied with a statement that accused her of callous disregard to the COVID-19 pandemic and revealed her salary on the film, $20 million, which is high by any standards.
Wow.
The haymakers have continued Friday when Johansson's agency, Creative Artists Agency, released a statement firing back. I want to address the Walt Disney Company's statement that was issued in response to the lawsuit filed against them. He said, they have shamelessly and falsely accused Mrs. Johansson of being insensitive to the global COVID pandemic in an attempt to make her appear to be someone that they know she is not. Scarlett has been Disney's partner on 9 movies, which has earned Disney and its shareholder billions of dollars. The company included her salary in the press statement in an attempt to weaponize her success as an artist and a businesswoman, as if that were something she should be ashamed of. Scarlett is extremely proud of her work that she and all the actors, writers, directors, producers, and the creative team have been part of for well over a decade. The suit was filed as a result of Disney's decision to knowingly violate the contract. They have very deliberately moved the revenue stream to profits on Disney Plus, leaving artistic and financial partners out of the equation. That is it, pure and simple. Disney's direct attack on her character and all else they implied is beneath the company that many of us in the creative community have worked with successfully for decades.
Wow.
Bombshell.
They're so heartless.
Now, Disney claims there is no merit. This will not hold up in court. It's a joke of a lawsuit, basically, is what they're saying. I think it's really ridiculous that they couldn't settle this privately beforehand.
Yeah.
We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar company.
And they had to have been talking to Scarlett Johansson, prior to this
For 2
happening.
years,
because
I'm sure.
she is a person that has been a, mainstay in their world, the whole world of Marvel.
And outside of that, she's
under-
also probably the most successful female actress of the last 20 years.
Right.
In other movies.
So they have miserably handled this. It had to have went completely south right off the bat, because there is no way she's going to take this amount of legal action to make it this public if they didn't just drastically fail.
And she's getting a little bit drugged through the press. It's like half and half. Some people are saying
Well,
the rich get richer. She made $20 million. What the hell?
Of course she's going to be drugged through the press, and I understand that. Yes, she is a very famous and very rich actress off of these movies. I get it.
They
She
owed her
is.
that movie 6 movies ago.
This is a contract
You know what
that
I mean?
she has written with Disney.
But don't you know what I mean? They deliberately they owed her that movie.
What I'm saying is this is written in a contract. I don't care if she's a $1 billion actress at this point. She has it written in a legal contract that she was going to get this amount of money for a theatrical release movie. They didn't do that.
Right.
If you were a $1 billion actor and you didn't get what was written in a contract, I would say you're right.
And Marley says bad publicity is still publicity. Absolutely true, except she's done at Disney. She is 100% done.
She will never work again
At Disney.
in Disney. And I understand that.
And she doesn't care. But that character was done anyway.
But they're wrong.
They are.
They're wrong. If you don't pay a person for what's written in a contract and you don't do
The
what's
problem
written in
is
the
that
contract,
revenue never existed.
You're wrong.
I think the only feasible solution would be okay, we're going to give you the share of the streaming profits. But I'm sure they offered that. But again,
But geez,
the movie made $300 million instead of $600 million because They made
So
a decision
you need to
not
give her a
listen.
percentage of that, whatever was written in the contract for the theatrical release.
Because you have to understand, when this movie came out, theaters were open, 100% open.
They decided not to release it at that time under their own judgment. It was supposed to release May of 2020.
Yeah, and they pushed it, and that's fine. Theaters were closed. But when theaters reopen and you're planning to release the movie a month later,
And they didn't.
they didn't. They put it on Disney Plus because why? Because they knew everybody would pay $30
Yes.
to rent it,
Yes.
and I did, and so did
didn't.
most people.
I didn't.
But a lot of people did, and that's
You're right. No, you're right. And
it's kind of shitty. It's a blockbuster movie releasing in theaters. I'm done with this. It's annoying. Suicide Squad coming out on HBO Max for free. I'd be pissed if I was that John Cena.
yeah, I would.
You know, maybe contracts will change. Who knows?
But they also probably have a different contract than what Scarlett Johansson
They made that
did.
movie before the pandemic.
No, I know, but I guarantee you they have a different contract than what Scarlett Johansson did with Disney. I
But
guarantee.
Scarlett Johansson was the lead character and a movie star.
That's what I mean.
Right. She got Robert Downey Jr. money.
Exactly.
Right.
That's my point. Is like she had a completely different contract going into this movie, thinking of it as a different movie than what was released. And she agreed to the
Well,
terms
here's the other
because it's different than what was released.
Here's the other thing you got to remember. She's been being told for over a decade now, when she has made statements or come out to the press and said, hey, listen, you know, I'm not getting paid near as much as Robert Downey Jr.
No, of course not.
As Chris Hemsworth with these guys. Which I rightfully so.
Fair.
Those were the stars of the movies. Robert Downey Jr. was making over $100 million on those movies because he had all the back end, because they needed him. They didn't need her. So they've been telling her the
No,
whole
that's
time.
right.
They've been telling her the whole time. They've been saying, listen, you're not the billable star of this movie. We don't need you. So that's why you're not making the big bucks. They've told her that, right? And she said, no, I think maybe it's because I'm a woman. And they said, no, it's nothing to do with you being a woman. It's because you're not the star. And then they made her movie. They made her the star.
And then they made the movie called Black Widow.
And then they gave her the Robert Downey Jr. deal.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, you know what? You're right.
Yes.
10 years of working your ass off. We're going to give you the movie. We're going to make it your movie. We're going to give you the deal.
And unfair to her, unbeknownst to anybody, a pandemic came along and
they pushed it, which is fine.
it screwed up the whole thing, and nobody had control over that. And we understand it. But coming forward, they had
They had an
a
opportunity.
time and opportunity to make it right.
Would it ever have made as much as it would?
No,
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 of course not.
Absolutely not. But it had the opportunity to make enough money to say, you are worth this, and this is what you are worth, and this is what we're going to do for you.
But you also got to look at Disney's side and go, like, can we afford to pay her
No.
$100 million she wants?
Screw that.
When
I
this
don't
movie
care.
made $300 million
I
and it
don't-
cost $200 million to make.
I don't care about Disney's side. They already went all in when they said, we're going to make this movie with you.
Yeah.
When you say, I'm going to make a movie called Black Widow based off of your character called Black Widow, and you are the star, you've already put all of your cards forward and said, we are in your boat, and this is what we're doing, regardless of what happens. And then when you do that, and you make this movie and you say, we're going to put it out in theaters and this is what happens, like, and this is what we're going to pay you, and we're going to write it in contract. And then again, a pandemic happens that nobody sees it coming forward, and you have to push it out of theaters because theaters weren't open, and it's nothing anybody can control. But then once they came open, you still decided not to put it out in theaters regardless. And you still decided never will it see theaters. We're
Well, it's
only
in
going.
theaters. It's in theaters.
Yeah, but you're going to put it out on
You're cutting its legs out from underneath it.
unbelievable.
Here's the problem.
I think that's
They-
unbelievable.
They're
and you-
standing on their high horse and saying, listen, we put it out in theaters. We did the streaming because we didn't want to encourage people to go to theaters because we're still in the middle of a pandemic. That's what Disney's going to say.
Bull crap. It's not Mulan. It's not a Mulan movie.
It's a Marvel movie.
It's a Marvel movie that you need to put in theaters 100%, and you need to back it that way, regardless of a pandemic, like in the situation we're in, because most of the states at this point and for months have been open.
You know, but I think their point was like, hey, just because they're open doesn't mean it's responsible to drive people into movie theaters.
Screw that.
I agree. But listen,
This is not a movie theaters or a production company's place
Yeah,
to
politics,
dictate
right? Yeah.
to dictate whether or not people go out and see movies or wear masks or whatever. You put the movie out, people will come and see it if they feel necessary or if they feel safe. If you feel safe to wear a mask or if you're vaccinated or whatever, you will go and see the movie.
Yeah.
It's not your place to judge whether or not people are going to come see that. So don't hold it back from people that want to see it
I think maybe the better solution would be to push it
or
to
charge
December.
them an extra $30.
or that. But I think maybe the better solution would be just to push it back to December.
No,
The
they've
only
pushed
thing
it
is,
long enough.
I think
Don't push it any longer because that's screwing so many more people.
I think the
don't
problem
so.
is they have too many shows that are tying into that movie that they want to release. So they have to
they
push it
have
out.
to. They have to.
There's already Loki and stuff has been released in there that would have stuff that was released in Falcon
No.
and the Winter Soldier directly
Don't-
ties into Black Widow.
I don't feel like our entertainment should dictate what we do outside of our lives, like for our entertainment value outside of our homes.
Right.
So put the movie out, put it out in theaters. If you want to go see it, go see it. If you don't, stay home
Worst case
and
scenario.
buy it on Disney. You know, like you can still buy it on Disney right now.
Yeah, but that's what the problem is.
But they didn't release it worldwide, or they didn't release it like countrywide. It was like very separate.
No, I think they released it worldwide.
Oh, I thought it was very.
Here's what
like-
they maybe could have done: released it in theaters for a month and then put it on Disney Plus.
Yes,
You know, give it some time.
that could help a lot.
Yeah, but they want the money, man.
I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair.
There's a whole inside conversation about sous vides and all kinds of things. Yes, Nolan, we did watch Loki, and that reminds us we probably need to be moving forward with our time here because we're at 50 minutes.
What?
Yeah. I don't have any more news.
I got
important news.
one more.
I got one more piece real quick before you do that because you're just going to be longer, I'm sure.
Mine? No, it's not.
I have a
It's a very
nephew.
short piece.
He's 13 years old. His name is Charles Kreider.
I know Charles.
He has a YouTube channel. If you search Charles Kreider on YouTube,
Yep.
you can go to his channel. He's 13. It says songs, beats, and bikes is his channel. And he is an aspiring beat maker and rapper, and he is trying to release one new song a week indefinitely.
I tell you what, he puts together some good music. He did it when he was here. He was visiting from Arkansas, and he told me about his music, and he showed me some of the things he does. And he did it like in front of me, without like seeing anything. He had no instrument in front of him. He just started like rapping and like singing in front of me. I was like, dude, what?
Yeah.
How
So,
are you doing this?
I mean, I just think everybody check it out. Check it out his channel. Just subscribe
Love
and
it.
like his channel. Let's blow him up. Let's get some people over there. I mean, he's learning. He's new. He's 13.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't Kanye, but
I mean, it could be.
he could be. So let's support him in trying to attain his dreams. That's all I'm saying. So, and all you need to do is go to that channel and hit like and subscribe. That's all you
Yeah.
got to do.
That's what we're here for. Love it.
So what did you have? You had one more thing?
Mine's similar. Mine has to do with Waterworld.
Oh, yeah. I did see some news on that.
It's close to your nephew, Charlie. But yeah, no, Waterworld was a Kevin Costner movie in 1995. And I love it. It's one of my favorites. And they are going to do a TV series of Waterworld. It's in production.
Sounds cool and expensive.
Sounds very expensive.
Is
because
Kevin Costner in it?
I don't know yet.
He probably is, right?
Nothing has
I mean, he's
been
in television now. He's doing Yellowstone.
I know. There has been nothing set in stone to say what actors are going to be involved with the TV series, but they said for sure there's going to be, I mean, as for sure as what Hollywood is, but they have agreed to do a TV series for Waterworld coming next year. And it is said to be a sequel of the 1995 movie.
Yes.
So that's a big deal to me.
Yes.
That hits home. That is another like nostalgic show. Like I loved Waterworld. I watched it so much as a kid. I would watch it any point in time right now if I saw it on TV.
Yes.
Love it. So if it's going to be a TV series, that reminds me of Swamp Thing. Like Swamp Thing as a TV series, that reminds me like this could be Waterworld.
Yeah.
So excited for it.
Yeah, they'll probably go a little more epic in scope than
Oh,
that.
I'm
but,
sure it will be. I mean, we're talking about 90s when I saw.
You know, that excites you. You know what excites me? I was just able to shed my blanket because I believe my chills have passed.
I know. I just saw that. You threw it on the ground.
I threw it away.
I'm so proud of you.
I've been sitting here with a child's blanket on my lap
He has.
in a hoodie. I was in my truck before Jerry got here with it at 90 degrees, just blasting heat at me because I was so cold.
I walked into the room and Chris's face was so red.
It was bright red.
It was so red.
And I had hives and stuff too.
Oh yeah, you were very red, and I was like, I don't think we should do this. And he decided to push through
I pushed through the pain.
for the fans.
Okay, let's get to. So we were going to do a little bit of top 10. We might do it at the end if we have time, but we have to talk about some stuff.
We got a lot of.
I
want to
get. I want to get. Yeah, we're going to just go right into what we're watching. That's probably going to be the rest of the show.
Yeah.
I want to get one out of the way real quick because I know people are going to ask about it. People care about it. Black Widow. So I watched it. Jerry has not seen it.
No.
We will review it next week officially.
Deal.
All right. I don't want to spend any time on my side because we might as well talk about it when we both have seen it.
I know, and I apologize.
frankly,
I should have seen it.
I'd like to see it again because the night I watched it, I don't know if it was.
It's been a while ago.
Yeah, it's been a while ago, and it's everybody was watching it maybe because it kept freezing like every 2 minutes. It was infuriating.
Really?
Like it timed out on Disney Plus, and I think it was just because of traffic, probably because my web speed was pretty good. But anyway, I'll just cursory just tell you. Do you want me to tell you about my initially like just positive or negative, like what I thought about it?
Yeah.
Not like getting into details.
Yes.
I loved it.
Okay.
And the reason I'm telling you that is because you came at me with kind of a negative. I've heard bad things. And
Yeah, I
there's bad
have.
things on the internet. I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. It's not breaking any new barriers. It's not life-changing by any means. But I thought it was a solid little movie with a lot of good action and humor. I can't wait for you to see it, and we can discuss it more next week.
Okay. Yeah, I'm up in like kind of in the middle about this. Like there have been so many people that came to me that are Marvel fans that said they were disappointed in what they saw. And people that I generally like respect their opinion on movies, you know, and what they've seen. And they all told me they didn't like it. And then you and I are like cohorts in all of what we do. And then you told me the exact opposite. So I don't know how to feel. Like I all I can do now is watch it for myself. I haven't had the opportunity to do that. And I'm going to do it this week. And
we'll talk about it next week.
Yeah,
and
we'll
I
talk
got a list of probably 12, 13. I've watched more than you because you
Yeah.
had family and doing stuff. And
a lot of things.
so I've watched a lot. I got like 12 or 15 things here. I think we're just going to kind of try and focus on the stuff we've both seen. But just I'll point one more out that I would like you to watch. Hopefully by next week.
Okay.
I watched the DC animated movie Batman: The Long Halloween,
Yes.
Part 1.
Okay. I've been asked about this too. Ian, a follower of ours, has asked me about this, and I couldn't answer it besides what I know of the comic.
You do have to buy it. It's not free on HBO Max. I don't know when it's going to come out. It will eventually come out on HBO Max. I rented it for like $5.
That's fine. Whatever.
I'd like you to watch it. It would be a good thing to talk about.
Okay.
We both love that comic.
Yes,
It's one of the best
very
Batman
much.
comics. I think it's in top 10 Batman comics.
Yes.
And it's a part 1. So part 2 comes out in October, I think. So
I didn't understand how they could ever do all of it in one movie.
right, they didn't. And just like they did The Dark Knight,
Yeah.
DC animated movie.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that at a later date. I think we just jump out of the gate with one we both watched that everybody's wanted to hear about, including Nolan, who mentioned it. Loki.
Loki.
You've watched all of it?
I have watched all of it. Yeah.
I watched all of it. I watched it quicker than you.
Yeah. I was only 1 week behind you.
Okay.
I ended up watching all of it pretty quick.
Unfortunately, it's been a long time, I feel like now, since I watched all of it.
2 weeks.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, I'll just jump out there with my initial. I absolutely adored the show. I loved it. I had some problems with it, and we'll
Yep.
get into that. But
Yep.
my initial reaction is I really loved the show. I think we've talked about this a lot, that we both loved WandaVision.
Yeah.
And then Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out, and I think just blew that out of the water. It was
Yes.
just a whole different thing. And then before Loki came out, I said, hey, I'm looking more forward to this because it's more in my genre of interest than like military type movies like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The big thing that changed the game with Falcon and the Winter Soldier is it wasn't a military type movie. It was a pretty interpersonal character study drama.
Right.
So that's what I loved about it. But Loki comes out, it's in my wheelhouse, and I didn't necessarily come in with super high expectations because I didn't
either.
want to get them dashed.
I didn't come into it.
I really loved it. I enjoyed it. I loved every episode. I will watch the whole season again easily.
So I didn't come into it with real high hopes because I didn't necessarily like the character as much as a lot of people.
Well, he's a
prior
villain,
to this.
you know?
Yeah, like it wasn't necessarily because he was a villain, but it was because there was like not a lot to go off of.
Very little
In
screen
the-
time, really.
In the screen time, like the movie style, like you didn't have anything to go off of this character besides of what you've seen in the movies, which was very little.
Yeah.
And then I thought, like a whole show dedicated off of this very minimal screen time character. Besides, I mean, a huge comic book like
Character, yeah.
character. I didn't know what they were gonna do, and I thought, what is a TV show going to be about? And then once I realized that it was like kind of a
Multiverse type
multiverse
time
kind
travel.
of detective-ish type show, that's what drew me in.
Yeah.
Big time. And I can't say enough about it. The first couple episodes, I would say even 3 episodes, I was like,
There's
where's
slow
it
moments
going?
throughout. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And that maybe would be one of my negative points. I got some bigger negatives that I'll mention too. But what I find interesting is that this is the linchpin now. This is what blows the whole universe
Well,
upside down. This is the future of Marvel. They just opened the door. They opened Pandora's box
So-
to start over.
so
They
this,
rewrote history.
this is exactly why I would tell everyone to watch it.
This is the most important show to watch in the entire for the future of Disney right
If
now.
you want to follow Marvel, and if you want to follow phase 4 of Marvel movies, if you say like, I want to watch all the Marvel movies from here on out, I agree with you. You should. But you have to go and watch this movie. Otherwise you're not, or TV show.
Call it a TV show, call it a movie, because it's basically a 6-hour movie.
You're not gonna have the basis to watch these movies from here on out if you don't watch Loki.
Yeah.
WandaVision? Okay. Yes. Sure.
And that's what we thought was
watch
game
that.
changing, right? We thought that would be the doorway.
I thought it was going to be.
And there's an interesting fan theory that you want to get into that. So apparently the scene at the end, there's going to be spoilers in this review. I hope we've all seen it. At the end where Kang, who will become Kang the Conqueror,
King the Conqueror.
is meeting with them, and he stops for a second and goes, oh, we just went off the timeline.
Yes.
If you sync that up, apparently, with WandaVision becoming the Scarlet Witch, if you sync those up,
as soon
they're
as-
exact.
As soon as she becomes Scarlet Witch, like it's episode 7.
It's like the last episode, right?
Yeah, it's like 52 minutes or something like that. I don't know. It's a certain minute in Scarlet Witch compared to the certain minute of Loki. They time up correctly, and Kang has a realization at that moment, like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen from here on out. Because prior to this, he knew everything that was going to happen for all of time. And then as soon as she becomes Scarlet Witch, he doesn't know anymore.
Well, that's the theory.
Yeah.
It also,
right.
in the show, is explained it's the moment between the two Lokis
Right.
that does it. But it's just a theory. I don't even know that it's true, but that's the theory.
I don't know if it's true either, but it's really great to think of.
And then
it's
it-
really great to see.
It comes out the end, and you realize quickly, in a great scene, by the way, with at the very end of that show, you realize that, oh shit, we're in a whole different universe now. We're in
It
a
is.
different branch of the multiverse. Now, we'll go back to the other branch. We'll go back to all of them because now the multiverse is blown wide open. And we're going to learn all about that in the next Spider-Man movie because that's what it's about.
Right.
And the Doctor Strange movie because that's what it's about. So this is going to be a big theme. Kang the Conqueror, obviously one of the variants of him, the one he was trying to suppress.
But the big thing is like before this show, you had the idea of a multiverse, right? And
It
you
hints at it.
and you kind of they hint at a multiverse.
But they explicitly say like, oh, it's not really real in the last Spider-Man movie with
But Loki blows it wide open,
yeah.
and they finally say yes.
Well, because that's the moment where it blows open.
Yeah,
That's the moment where the multiverse is now out of control.
and that's what
Previous
I'm
to
getting at.
this,
Is
we've
like,
been on one timeline, and they've been suppressing the TVA, suppressing all the other timelines.
but this is where they tell you, like they legitimately tell you, like, look, this is what you've been following the whole time throughout all of these Marvel movies, and now it's going to deviate everything
Yeah.
that you've ever known of Marvel or of these characters that you followed from here on out. Everything deviates. Everything goes its own direction. Everything goes its own way. And there is a
There's a new-
multiverse.
there's a new
we've-
timeline to
we've-
follow.
We've said there's a whole new timeline that you have to follow of multiple different paths.
Yeah.
Of multiple different characters. And everything is going to hinge off of this one moment that we just watched in a show.
Yeah. And ultimately, it seems like at some point that access to that multiverse is going to need to be destroyed.
But when you watch it, you don't necessarily have this big moment of awe, like this big
You
moment
don't. You don't get that build up like Big Bang at the end.
You don't, but when you think back or when you look back at what's going on, and we talk about it right now you realize, holy crap.
Yeah. Now
This is split off into a whole new thing that is going to blow up everything we've ever known.
right now we can do every comic book story that's ever been done. It's a genius move.
And it's coming. And we know now 100% that everything we've ever thought was not possible is possible coming forward
Right.
with Marvel. It's coming forward, and it's going to be like just smashed in our face because what we never thought was possible, or we never thought was possible in like a TV series or a movie, is going to be smashed in our face very fast.
Yeah,
So,
it's gonna build up, and it's gonna be the same thing with an Infinity War Endgame type end.
but we've had to wait. Like we've had to wait for these like small moments. Like the TV shows feel like small moments, and then all of a sudden they blow open
Yeah,
like a big hole.
and that's
and
the
then-
genius of it.
And the movies are going to blow open a bigger hole. And I don't know if my mind can handle it.
I think the movies are gonna deal more with smaller stories at first, same way they did in the first round.
Do you think? I think they're going to open up with big shit, like big
Well, Spider-Man's
things
certainly gonna be
blowing in our face.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I don't know if they'll focus on the Kang timeline for a while, but not bring him out as the main villain just yet.
I don't know if we're going to be able to handle Doctor Strange
Yeah.
and the multiverse of madness. It's literally called. We know the name of it. It's called Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Like when they released that name of the movie, I thought, oh, okay, yeah, that seems crazy. Now I know it's gonna blow everything wide open. Like
Yeah.
we have no idea what's coming towards us. We have no idea what they're gonna give us.
Nolan said, I think this is probably my favorite of the 3 Disney Plus shows. Loki having dinner on the ship. The Oneer.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was. The Oneer was produced in the same way The Mandalorian was. LED backgrounds. So in the same, remember how they did that like in a room?
Yeah.
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 Unreal Systems. So they used a video game engine for that during the last scene, episode 4. So yeah. So let me do the positives and negatives of the show because obviously it's my favorite of them all. I loved it.
Yeah.
I love the repercussions. We've covered that. Owen Wilson was just a standout here. Fantastic.
That character
Maybe his best
and what
performance in anything. I don't know.
he had to do wasn't necessarily like groundbreaking in the end of
That's what
the
made
show
it
was
so
going
great.
to be. But that's what made it so great. His character wasn't necessarily what's going to affect the end of the show. But that dude, it was much more than a wow.
Yeah.
Guy.
So this is going to be a controversial one. I wasn't blown away by Tom Hiddleston and his acting. A lot of it felt little cheesy and a little bit just, it was a tick off, which I know there maybe we're going for. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. It felt to me like sometimes his acting took me out of it.
I don't think he was a tick off. I think that's exactly the way they planned it.
He was almost a little childlike. But I mean, I get that that's partially the character.
Understand the scenario he's in.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's what you have to understand. Like like him as being a variant, like him being a variant of whoever he is. Like at the beginning of the show, he doesn't understand he's a variant. In the middle of the show, he finally figures out he's like a variant of himself.
Right.
And then by the end of the show, he understands he's a variant that can continue on.
Right. He doesn't doomed.
And he's not the variant that will
ultimately die.
Right.
Which will happen and has happened.
And he knows that.
Right.
I don't think to me, his character didn't blow me off or set me off in any way.
It wasn't the character. It was the acting. Specifically, I'm talking about the acting.
I don't feel that way at all.
I loved, my favorite episode probably was the one where they introduced all the other Loki variants on the planet surface, like the alligator one, and the ending where the old Loki like uses all of his power to sacrifice himself. I mean, it's a great moment, and there's some great acting.
Last episode.
No,
right?
it's not the last episode. It's like maybe the one before the last
Second
episode.
last. Yeah.
The female Loki variant.
She's great.
I thought she was great. Yeah, there's been a lot of like ragging on her in the media, and I'm not sure why. But I enjoyed that character. Obviously, it's wild because they're in love with each other and they're the same person.
Right.
Or they're not in love with each other. We don't really know.
I mean, I don't know how you can rag on any of those characters. I think they did phenomenal for what they were doing.
It was a weird script for sure. I loved the reveal of the timekeepers being androids.
Yeah, and fake.
And puppets. My favorite thing about this show, and this is why I loved it so much, because I said earlier it's right up my alley. It's right up my alley because I am obsessed with branching timelines. And like every decision you make spawns a new timeline to an infinite amount.
Oh, no, I knew this was going to be right.
And we've talked about this before.
We
I
have.
said, somewhere there's a version of this podcast and we're both ducks.
I would prefer to be an ostrich.
That exists too. All of it exists because it's infinite, because the branching timelines are infinite. So that is just a
that's
topic.
What this is.
That's a topic that's interesting.
That's
to
what
me.
that's what I keep saying movie, but it's a TV show. That's what each episode was. Each episode was something so different.
Yeah.
And
by the way, it hasn't been officially confirmed that we're getting Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in the next Spider-Man movie. There's a lot of talk about it. It's not been officially confirmed. I think it has been confirmed that we are getting Daredevil.
Yes.
So that could be a completely different timeline. And maybe that's why they don't really mention... They do mention the events of New York, though, in that show. So maybe I guess that would be the same timeline.
Right. It would be.
But now this is a different timeline. Potentially. Or it's not. We don't know. They could go back to the other timeline.
Spoilers. This is, again, all spoilers. So if you don't want to hear about the end of Loki, don't listen to this right now. But at the end of the last episode of Loki, when he comes back and he talks to Owen Wilson and the other timekeepers, and he's like, coming back to him and saying, like, I can't remember exactly what he says, but he says something to him that they should know. And they look at him as like,
they don't know who he is.
Have no idea who he is.
Yeah, because he's in a different timeline.
Are you a timekeeper?
Yeah, he's in a different timeline. That does not mean that the other characters are in a different timeline.
I know that.
He's going to be crossing the timeline to try and recruit people over to help the war.
But he already has. he already has crossed the timeline, and that's when you realize.
But he has a way to cross timelines now.
I know, but
He's the only one, though. You got to remember that.
I do know that. I'm saying, like, at the end of that episode, he has already crossed over to a new timeline with new people that are the same that he knew before. He didn't know he crossed over timelines until he said that one word, or like the one sentence to those people that he had seen before, which is Owen Wilson. And he's yelling at them, and then he sees the statue of Kang. And that's when you realize, like, holy crap, we're in a whole new timeline. And that's when Loki has to do his new work.
Yeah.
Like, that's when all of the new work starts.
But his new work is going to be recruiting to defeat Kang.
But it's so big.
Yeah.
Like, everything that he just did something that was so big to begin with at the end of this show. And he's thrown into a whole new timeline that just restarts all of it. And he's got to do something so big all over again. And it's like,
but
how?
Here's what I think is going to happen.
How do you restart that?
I think in the movie universe, we're going to continue on the old timeline, and the new timeline is going to bleed in. So Loki's going to be bleeding it in. Maybe somebody pops in. Whoa, we need help. And they're gone. Or something like that.
You cannot pick up the movie universe
off
of the end of the timeline of Loki.
Absolutely not. No.
It's got to be off of bleeding timelines, off of those variants.
Nolan says, will we see Kang in the Immortals? My thought on that is
No.
I think Kang is not going to be seen outside of post-credit scenes for a while yet.
Not until you get... I think you will see it in Doctor Strange.
I think you will get the same treatment that we got with Thanos, where there's going to be a slew of movies where a post-credit scene is going to involve Kang, but he's not going to be the main villain.
Listen, the guy that played Kang in Loki, it was cast in Doctor Strange before he was ever cast in Loki.
Right. Well, you got to remember they had to delay Loki.
I understand that, but he was cast in Doctor Strange as that character before he was cast as that character in Loki.
Yeah.
So all of it is hinging off of that movie.
You got to understand, too, there's infinite amounts of variants of that character.
You're right. And it's been written that it is a different type of Kang.
Yeah.
So Kang the Conqueror has multiple, in the comic book world, has multiple different variants and multiple different characters, but they cast him as a certain Kang the Conqueror in Doctor Strange movie. And once they saw his acting, and this is written, you can look it up, you can Google it. They saw what he was doing in that movie, and they said, "Hey, we have a part for you in this show. Would you like to do it?" And he agreed to it, and then they wrote the Kang character off of that.
Yeah.
So there's a big tie in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Huge tie in there.
Well,
and
he's going to be the next Thanos. There's no doubt about it.
Right. Which is rightfully so, because it's a huge character.
But each of those individual movies are still going to have their own individual villains that need to be thwarted. And I think it's going to all come together in post-credit scenes until we get an Infinity War type thing where, here's Thanos.
And listen, they've asked me to write for them for years now. And I can't say what I have or have not done. But, it's tied in.
Gotcha.
So...
All right, let's move off Loki and move down the road. You got one that we have both enjoyed?
Tomorrow War.
Oh, Tomorrow War. Yes, I forgot about this one.
This is a...
Chris Pratt Amazon movie.
A Chris Pratt Amazon movie. It was a big deal. Like, they
Huge
promoted
deal.
this.
Big budget, big everything.
Yeah, they put a lot of money towards this movie, and they promoted it as such, as being a big budget movie. I don't know if it came out in theaters.
It did not. No, this is always going to be a streaming movie on Amazon only. Always. Okay. I think I will get to why I believe that is the case. I watched it right away. It's been out for a while, about a month ago.
I think we watched it around the same time, and
so I don't remember all the bits and pieces. So it's not going to be a great blow by blow, but I can give you my thoughts on it.
And I will too. Let me say real quick that I had talked about it on the podcast prior to it releasing, And when I first found out that it was going to release Amazon only, and what it was, and we gave a synopsis of what this movie was, probably, I don't know, 3 to 4 episodes ago. And I was very excited for it because it looked incredible. For it being in a streaming only type movie, because what we've got so far from streaming only type movies from Netflix and Amazon and HBO Max or Warner Brothers or whatever have been, in my opinion, and I think yours, have been lesser than.
Yeah. I thought Bright was pretty good with Will Smith, but
Long ago.
Yeah.
That was like one of the first ones.
yeah, that was like
And
the
it-
first one.
And it did very well. But everything from then on has been a little bit lesser than what you would find in a theater. And I was disappointed. What do you think about this movie?
First of all, no one said Marvel rejected all of Jerry's scripts because every time a hero got into trouble, he just wrote, and the hero flexes.
I mean, it's not my fault that they didn't like that part of the script, but I feel like it could have been.
Yeah.
You know, what could it have been? Have you ever seen a hero really flex it out?
Yeah, Flex Mentallo.
He doesn't count.
All right, Tomorrow War. Here's my. I had a great analogy on this movie that I can't quite remember. It's like a mix between like a Starship Troopers
It
and
is.
like a big budget action movie.
It is
Right.
the modern day Starship
Kind
Troopers.
of. Without the adherence to the science fiction genre, maybe.
Yeah.
Like a big budget alien movie mixed with Starship Troopers. Anyway, long story short, this movie is complete dog shit. It is fun. It is a popcorn flick that is fine to watch. I can't tell you you won't enjoy it. A lot of people will enjoy it. It's a fun action movie.
Yeah.
If you peel off any layer on that onion, you're going to be left with a world of misery. Because below that surface,
There is nothing.
there is nothing going on here. There's terrible acting. There is terrible plot writing. This movie is like a computer AI wrote a movie. It's like they said, analyze all these movies and let's do every trope that ever existed. And let's put it in this AI machine and it's going to automatically come out with what a computer would think a hit Chris Pratt movie would be. Because it just hits every trope and you see everyone coming a mile away. It is a train wreck. And that's why I don't believe it was released in theaters.
I know. And I didn't want to hear you say all of those things. I didn't want to say those things for myself. I didn't want to believe that this movie could be what you just said it was going to be, because when I saw the trailer, I honestly had high hopes. I did. I thought it was going to be something.
Yeah, it looked cool.
I thought it was going to be something that Amazon could release as a straight to streaming movie that was going to be something different that I was going to really, really enjoy. And I'm not going to say I didn't necessarily enjoy it.
I'm not saying
for
I didn't
what it
necessarily
was.
enjoy it for what it was. A
Yeah.
popcorn action flick. The action's great.
I watched it late at night with nobody else around because I knew Amy wasn't going to like it. I knew my kids couldn't watch it. And you're right. Like every single aspect of this movie, I saw coming, first off. Like I saw every portion of this movie that was like supposed to be a big mind-bending portion of the movie that you would never believe could happen to these people. It was just so like I could have written this out tomorrow.
It's a paint by numbers, man.
It is a paint by numbers. It was like the what's that Will Smith movie that has the Daywalker people in it?
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend.
I love that movie.
Yeah, but it was like the same type of.
I disagree with that wholeheartedy. I think
No.
I think I Am Legend is a pretty smart movie.
I'm not saying it's the same as I Am Legend. I'm saying the mean people are like that, plus a Starship Trooper type bad guy. Like it's similar to both of those characters, and they have to defeat the same character in the same time frame. Between the I Am Legend type like guys and the alien bug type, like Starship Trooper type things. But there's nothing that surprises you. Nothing of this movie surprises you in the least.
It baffles my mind because it's such an interesting premise, right? The future is going to go back in the past and recruit everybody to fight a war that's going to destroy their inevitable future, not only destroying the future, but destroying the past at the same time. I mean, it's a brilliant idea.
Sounds good.
It doesn't work.
It sounds good.
It just doesn't work. And it works as an action movie, but it wanted to be more, and it didn't achieve it.
In the beginning, I was in.
Yeah, I was in at the beginning for sure.
The very beginning of this movie, I was like, man, all right, I'm in. And then they got into the fight. And I don't know, like it just unraveled. Every single moment of the big reveals just unraveled the movie. And I love Chris Pratt. I think he did a good job.
He did a good job.
I think most of the actors did a good job. They just didn't have much to work with.
No. So personally, if it's me, if you're looking for a dumb action movie, fine. If you're looking for anything else, skip it.
No, that's all you're going to get is a dumb action movie with Chris Pratt in it, and you might enjoy him, but boy, you're not going to get much other than that.
And the ending just falls so flat, too.
It's so simple. It's just a simple movie.
But it doesn't even do what you want it to do at the end.
No, it doesn't.
He goes back, and he doesn't remember the formula or whatever it is. It's just like, what?
Is baffling.
He's fighting with his daughter, and it's just it's a mess, man.
It's a mess,
and that's why it didn't go to theaters. Somebody made that movie. Somebody made that movie, and some studio made it and said, "This movie is a heaping pile of garbage." Hey, Amazon, can we cut our losses? Will you pay us $100 million for this movie?
Oh, they said, "Hey, Amazon, Chris Pratt,"
and then Amazon said, "We can get a $300 million budgeted movie for $100 million. Deal."
Sold.
We need that content, right? We're a $1 trillion company.
We're gonna make $100 million off of this for streaming.
Well, I don't know. It was free. It's free. So, did it drive subscribers? No, not to Amazon. But Amazon has to release content to justify.
I bet you it brought in like a significant number.
You think it brought in new subscribers?
Yeah.
Everybody already subscribes to Amazon.
No, I bet you it did.
Amazon's got a long history of great shows. So this ain't the end of the world. It just didn't work. It just didn't work. That's it.
It didn't.
And we don't need to talk about it too much more because it's not worth it.
No, you're right.
Let's move on.
I have a documentary I watched.
Okay.
That you probably didn't
No.
watch. And it's about Andre the Giant.
Okay.
Do you know about him?
I do. I know quite a bit about him. I watched the show also that The Rock has called Young Rock, and he's a character on that show as well.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They give you a lot of backstory too.
Okay. So they have a huge documentary. It's about an hour and a half long on Netflix about Andre the Giant and his career prior to wrestling, during wrestling, and then like his ultimate demise. And it was really, really interesting. It's a lot of things you already know. It's nothing that's going to blow you out of the water. But I thought it was super interesting to learn about a guy that we see as this huge novelty character, right? And then you understand like it's an actual human being. And I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people to understand.
Yeah.
Is that this big giant man that we look at as being almost a cartoon or a movie created character as being an actual human being. And then and his life growing up and his his deformities, like being a giant human being. And he wasn't necessarily that big. He was honestly only 7'2", and there's a lot of basketball players that are that size or bigger right now but his body itself grew bigger than a lot of those people.
Right.
And he weighed over 500 pounds. Like he was a giant of a man. But learning about the disabilities of him traveling and how he had to be a sideshow his entire life. His entire life was a sideshow. And then he had to travel on regular flights in regular seats that didn't fit him. He could never sleep regularly like a normal human being. And like learning that stuff made it really sad.
Yeah.
It made it really sad to learn about this man that couldn't live a normal life. And every person that was close to him, like he loved being the character of Andre the Giant. He loved being the person that everybody looked at, and he loved making people smile. And he was a very genuine, happy man. But living the life that he had and the struggles that he had, all he kept saying was like, I want to be like a normal sized person, which you would agree with, right? Like,
Yeah.
Like you could understand where you want to sleep in a normal sized bed.
I don't think anybody wants to be freakish.
But you don't really understand it.
Right. No.
Like you never really understand it. And you look at a man as being a novelty type character, but that's his life, and it was really cool to see. And some of the big stories of him that you hear about that you think are fake aren't. And this documentary really lays it out as to how true a lot of those stories were. And there was one, it kind of stood out in my mind that where when he was traveling with like the wrestling federation or whatever it was called at the time, like the WWF or whatever it was, when he was wrestling full time all the time, he drank a lot. Like that was a big problem of his, was alcoholism. But he would get back to the hotel and they would drink a lot, and he passed out in the lobby a couple times where he would just lay flat, just lay out in the lobby, pass out on the floor, laying there before they ever went up in the elevator, before he ever got in the room. And all of these hotels would, like the managers would come forward yelling at all of the handlers for Andre the Giant, and his best friend was one of the handlers, and they'd always yell at him and say, you need to get him into his room. He can't stay here. He cannot lay here. We cannot have people laying in our lobby. And every single time he's like, okay, I understand. Like, move him.
Right.
Tell me how to move him. And nobody could. Like, he was just so big. Like, he'd just lay there, and they'd say, well, you need to move him. He's like, if you can show me how or teach me how, we will do it. But to this point, we've never figured out a way to like get this man to do whatever we need him to do.
Right.
Whenever he figured out that he was done, he's just going to lay right here. And then they'd all go to sleep. They'd wake up in the morning and he'd be laying in the same place. And they'd wake him up and they'd go do the same thing the next day. And it was unbelievable, like what this man lived through.
What is this on? Because I would watch this.
It's on Netflix.
Netflix. Cool.
It's called Andre. That's all it's called, is Andre.
Well,
and it is very, very fun to watch and a good documentary.
I will definitely check it out because I'm really interested in him.
So all of the wrestlers that you could ever imagine that are still alive are on this documentary, and they all have stories about true stories about what he did as a person, because a lot of them, like even Vince McMahon that owns the WWE right now, started out when Andre was like a baby in the universe, like in that culture. He grew up with this man because they're around the same age, and it's fun. It was really fun to understand like a person that you look at as this like almost like storybook character. Like
Yeah.
I looked at him as a storybook character that I saw in a couple movies and heard stories about, but this really described his life a lot better, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's really fun to watch.
Cool.
It's about an hour and a half.
Okay, so one quick aside note here. I am fading fast from this vaccine. I maybe can do one more. But I like it's kicking in to the effect of I need to get out of here.
You're dying.
Can we talk about Ted Lasso real quick?
Oh yes,
and then we'll wrap this thing up.
Yep.
So Ted Lasso season 2 started. There's only been there's a second episode out today, Friday if you're watching live. It'd be a couple days ago if you're listening to the podcast. But in honor of that, Marley had never seen season 1.
What?
Even though I've been telling her.
What's she doing?
I know. I've been telling her. So I said, hey, well, let's rewatch season 1, and then you'll be caught up to speed, and we'll go right into season 2. And she was not that interested. She wasn't excited about that prospect. And I kept telling her, I go, I'm telling you, the show is incredible. And so obviously she adored it.
Of course.
And she's 100% in. But I want to comment on my experience of rewatching this show that I just watched maybe 6 months ago.
Yeah.
It was just as good the second time around as it was the first.
Yep.
I picked up on a couple more things now that I'd seen it before. It is a little slow in the first 3 or 4 episodes.
I agree.
And Marley even commented on that. She's like, I kept saying, just wait, just give it one more episode. Give it one more episode. And it took about 4, right? And, but I will maintain after rewatching it, especially the second half of that season where I'm bawling like a freaking child.
Oh my gosh.
And Marley, by the way, no emotion towards that show. Just loved it. We'd go over, home for our lunch break, We'd watch a couple episodes, and I'd be crying.
And she had nothing.
And no, I mean, she's like, oh, yeah, that was great. And I'm like, did you hear that? Were you watching? What? She still loved it, though.
Wow.
I will maintain, I think I said it before, this is, in my opinion, one of the top 10 greatest TV shows maybe ever. Top 20 for sure.
To be honest, I agree.
And it's because not only of the emotional resonance, but because of what it stands for. And it doesn't take the easy path, right, towards negativity. And I told Marley this. Going to the last episode, I'm like, what do you think is going to happen? And she tells me what she thinks is going to happen. And, well, a couple in. And she goes, I think Rebecca and Ted are going to fall in love. And then he hooked up with her friend, and she hooked up with somebody else. And it's going to be... And I go, you got to remember the show you're watching.
Yeah.
Unfettered optimism. And real human emotion.
I love that explanation.
And honestly, that was the easy path. She saw that path because she's seen that path 1,000 times before.
And you think that's what the real world is. Like you assume
and that it
the
isn't.
real world is negative.
Or maybe it is the real world, but we've seen that a million times before, and they didn't do it. They took the hard path.
I know.
And so I adored rewatching season 1. I watched the first episode of season 2. I have maintained also, I've said this before, I'm very concerned with how they can keep up the quality of the show when they've spent so much capital in their story, right? They spent all these heavy storylines, right? They dealt with them. And now they're in a new place. And I've just been saying and thinking, I'm like, I don't understand where they can go from here other than the obvious, right? Okay, now they march back and win and get back into the league. That's the obvious. And that's probably what's going to happen.
I'm sure that will happen.
But I don't know where they can get the emotionally heavy storylines of Roy and whatever her name is. And
you still have them, though.
And Rebecca and her ex-husband. And Ted and his ex-wife. I don't know where that all fits in.
You still have them.
But they've been resolved, right? That's why.
Not necessarily. Not all of them have been absolutely resolved. They were resolved for a moment. And then now you have... the new season where it's coming, and you see in the first episode where it can affect certain characters that you thought were unwavering, like certain characters that you thought were never going to have a problem.
Obviously, there's a resolution to be made with Jamie Tart that was set up.
And then you're going to have Jamie come back into the fold. You're going to have Ted. I mean, Ted himself as a manager is going to have to deal with 100% of whatever happens with that team, regardless of what it is.
And also, he never really resolved his personal life all that much.
It was never brought up. Like, you see what happens in his life, but it was never resolved.
There is so many moments to point out in the first season, and I'm going to miss a bunch, but there is one I'm going to point out specifically, and that is the moment when they're in the karaoke bar, and It's a resolving moment for the team.
Yep.
It's a resolving moment for Rebecca.
Yeah, the owner.
And she gets up there and she starts singing Frozen. And then you get going flash into Roy and he's mouthing the words because he really loves his niece and all this stuff. And then Ted has the mental breakdown.
Yeah.
And
he leaves
they film it so great. I wish they would have done one other thing. I wish they would have put the camera right in his face and had him kind of whirling through the crowd like they did in that show Selfie.
Yeah, no, I know.
And it just pays off so spectacularly, this positive character just having this mental breakdown. And it's a really affecting scene, I think. But there's more than that. There's several other ones. I mean, I do love the scene. I mean, there's a couple other just sweet scenes, when Keely and Roy are home and he's upset that he's going to be retiring, basically.
Yeah.
And she calls the niece over and she's like, "What do you know about your uncle?" And she doesn't mention anything about, he likes ice cream, he loves me. That's a nice moment as well. So season 2, I love the first episode. I thought it was great. It wasn't anything groundbreaking, so I don't know if it's going to be off to a little bit of a slow start, but there was a scene in it that you pointed out that was...
it affected me because of the intro, like the intro monologue. What I was dealing with like in my life and things that have happened recently because of my mom passing away, and the things that he had said like during his monologue, like really struck home. And
I rewatched it after you mentioned that. And it's a very powerful scene. I actually paused it afterwards. And, I didn't really catch it that well the first time around. I think because I was just so caught up in the excitement.
I could understand where you wouldn't.
And I mean, I heard it, I enjoyed it, but I was caught up in the excitement of the show. What's next? What's next?
Yeah.
Then I knew it was next, and I rewatched it with Marley, and we both are like paused it. And we're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know?
I watched it, living the life that I was in at the moment. And I heard what he had said and I stopped it, rewound it, listened to it again. And I was like, I can't believe a show like this can put out this quality of like, writing,
acting,
yeah.
performance. Jason Sudeikis is a freaking, I don't even know.
And it's so pure.
It is.
It came across so pure. It honestly felt like a man in front of me. Like it felt like I went to counseling.
He's such a unbelievable actor. You know that?
Maybe this sounds cheesy. Maybe it sounds cheesy to say like that I went to counseling and like listened to a counselor talk to me about a TV show. But I'm serious. Like if you watch the first episode of this show, and it's literally within the first 5 minutes of the opening scene of what Jason Sudeikis says, like the Ted Lasso, of what he says in the beginning. And honestly, I can't even recite it for you. I don't necessarily remember word for word what he says. I just remember that it resonated so much about losing someone in your life and about continuing on, or losing anything in your life. Because at that point, they're talking about football or
a dog.
A dog, yeah. And it hit me, and I texted you right away, and I was like, man, like I watched it like 3 times after I texted you, and I was like, man, the opening monologue of Ted Lasso it was like a kick in the balls.
Yeah.
But in a good way. In a good way in that, like, it was remembering people. It's also like letting go of your past, and it's also like going forward in your life. And it blew me. It absolutely blew me away. And all they were talking about was a dog, a mascot.
Right. Well, that's not what his story was about.
No, but
he was
at the end of the day,
it to his life.
It was because they lost a dog, that a dog died, and he was relating it to all of life. And man, I can't appreciate that show more than I do. I'm in for every single thing that this show gives us. And maybe it is a little slow, the first 3 to 4 episodes of the first season. But I tell you what, put the time in, put the investment in, because it just makes me. I mean, everybody,
when they have success, you root for them so hard, so that when they have success, you're jumping onto your chair, just like you're a fan in that town, right? That town that's been, walked all over.
Yeah.
You know, that
man.
family that's been walked all over. The man that's been walked all over.
Himself. Like it's called Ted Lasso for a reason, and the show hinges on this man.
Yeah.
And you're literally living your life through this man's eyes of the absolute catastrophe of what he has to deal with as a manager, basically.
And in his personal life.
And I tell you what, any one of you, no matter what portion of your life you're in, whatever season you're in, whatever you're doing in your life, I guarantee you can relate something in your life to what's going on in this show, and it will make you happy.
It'll make you happy, and I almost feel like it'll just make you a better person.
Confident. It'll make you confident in what you need to do next. It'll make you happy in where you're in your life, and it'll make you okay with what's happened in the past. It's weird to say that.
The biggest trend in television over the last several years has been cynicism, right? A lot of negativity, a lot of shows with real quick, sharp-witted cynics, right?
Yeah.
All over the place. And, you know, I think like Schitt's Creek does a good job of having the cynicism and then giving you more.
And that's good.
But this is on a whole nother level because it's anti-cynicism, right? It's the complete opposite of that. It's the complete opposite of the biting wit of all these FX shows, comedies, or AMC comedies that come out that are like small shows with really snarky, negative people that you're laughing. It's funny. They're good shows.
And you do enjoy that.
And you enjoy it, but they don't make you a better person.
But you know what happens?
They actually, I think, mentally probably affect you, right? They drag you down into that cynicism.
And that is 100% different of this show. So you look at it and you want that. You want that snarky cynicism. You want to be
so cool, right?
But you want to be involved with that, and you want to say like, yeah, like I don't like this, but this show and Ted Lasso himself as a character is so abruptly opposite of that, and positive, and it shows you where you are wrong in thinking that.
And honestly, you're 100% right when you say that these shows, they make you want to be that because it's cool.
Yeah,
because our society has deemed that that's what's cool, right? Have the snarky remark on Twitter. Be the asshole to that guy. Make fun of that guy. They think it's cool. And they play Ted Lasso off as the opposite, but as a doofus, right? You don't want to be like this doofus.
But you have Rebecca, like the owner of the team, that is like the forefront of what you want to be, or the forefront of what you expect of what
right, like
society is.
That's what it feels like in the first 4 episodes. That's what this show is. Look at this dumb doofus and all these people being snarky behind his back.
Yes,
that's what it is. And then it just turns it on its head, and
it shows what goodness, kindness, and genuine
joy of life,
a genuine way of life can change the outlook of so many people around you. And that's why I told you, I had texted you at the beginning of that show last year when I first started watching it. And I was like, man, I feel like this is like my management career, because I came into a situation that felt like that to me.
I think
felt like
a lot of us are in that situation right now.
Everyone is. I feel like everyone is.
Yeah.
And all I want to be is a good person. All I want to be, take that for what you is, for what it is, like what I am. I whether you believe it or not, I don't care. It doesn't matter. All I want to be is like a good person to most people. Like I just want to do good things. And I want to be nice. I want to be funny. I want to be the jokester. If you think of me as the jokester, that's fine. But at the end of the day, like, let's just have fun and be good to all people.
And I think the thing
that
is
is Ted Lasso
show helps to point out is that's not easy. It is not easy to be like that. And also, it shows his own personal life crumbling, right? And the perseverance to continue to have that truth in his and that goodness. And and what I also like about it, and I'm not trying to make any statement here, but they don't do it. There's things that do that, but it always goes back to religion.
It does,
rightly so.
Yeah.
But they don't do that in this show. They don't really address that.
It doesn't
all that
necessarily have to do that. I mean,
it doesn't, and that's what I'm saying. I think that that's one reason why I think it's original, is that it's like, hey, this person just does it because he does it, because this person has the ultimate perseverance to believe in something. And I do love this scene. There's a scene where Coach Beard and him get into a fight in the bar. Oh, not an argument. And he's like, listen, this is about happiness and joy, and we got to build these kids up and blah, blah, blah. And he's had enough. He's like, we need to win. He screams at him. He's like, we need to win. These are professionals. These are not college players. I agreed with your mission there, but we're here and we need to win. But then it takes a twist. It's like, just because you need to do what it takes doesn't mean you have to do it in a horrible way. And that's when it brings in that whole thing between him and Roy and how they work that out. And he works it out. They each work it out individually, and then they come together and work it out. And you see that, like, you can have your cake and eat it too. You can.
Everyone can be good.
Yeah.
Everyone can be a good person in their own way. I don't care what you believe. You don't care what I believe. I don't care what anyone next to me believes. We can all be good people in our own way, regardless of what we do.
Yeah. And this is the show. This is why I love it so much. And this is why I recommend every single person that hears our voice watch this show.
Please.
You won't hate it. You will love it.
And even if you feel indifferent on it, I guarantee you won't look at it negatively.
Well, that's the great thing is even if you're not getting what we got out of it, it's still a fun, funny show.
It will never be something that you say awful.
No, I can't
Can't
imagine
watch
anybody saying that.
It's not possible.
Because I've told a million people, and a million people that I've told have watched it, and every single one of them has come back and said, holy shit, you were right.
To be honest, if any of you can come back with an awful review, I would love to hear it.
I would love to hear it too.
I would
'Cause
love to
maybe we're
hear-
missing a take. I don't know.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. I would love for you to come on the show personally, or call in, whatever you want to do. However it is, wherever you are in the world, I want you to call in and tell us why we're wrong on this show, because I don't feel like you can.
I just hope they can make season 2 as interesting. That's my only thing.
And you know what? Like, the first episode was blasé.
It was fine, but it wasn't
What I would say,
yeah,
like, very neutral,
safe.
very safe. But then again, the beginning of the show was as well.
Yeah.
And I did expect that from the beginning of the second season, because you have to write in,
They take their time setting things up.
but you have to write that into the season. You have to write in how you feel.
And it pays to set stuff up because the payoffs are huge.
You can't feel something off of the first episode. You can't. It's going to take 3 episodes for you to feel what those characters feel, no matter what. It does.
More than that, probably. But yeah.
You know what I mean, though?
Yes.
Like,
It's the second half of that season. That's where the payoffs all happen.
you have to write that story out for at least 3 episodes before you really feel something to want to follow. You want to follow that story. You want to feel what they're feeling. You want to understand the outcome. You want to understand the negative, positive, whatever it is. Like, it's not going to happen in the first episode. So we get this first episode in the second season, and it's neutral to us at this point.
Yeah. Absolutely do not skip the first season.
No.
That would be a travesty. Nolan says, okay, I guess I'm trying out the Apple Plus free trial. Yes, sir.
Yes, you are.
Guys, I've hit my limit.
Yes.
I need to go home and go to bed and lay there for a long time.
And I'm going to go home, and my sister left today. So see you, Katie. Thank you for visiting. But I finally have a home with just me and my wife and family. And I'm going to watch my show like I normally do on my couch.
I can't watch Ted Lasso because now I have to wait for Marley.
And I'm going to go to bed in my bed. And I'm very happy with that.
Yeah. So for Snarf Talk this week, and back in the action,
We are back in it.
I've been Chris.